guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine. So today I've got a super special video for you because not only is it my first time ever recording a video in Planet Zoo, but it's also my first time building with a new pack that came out for the game. So I'm building a giant otter enclosure, which is one of the animals that came in the new Aquatic pack. And oh my god, these animals are so cute. If you're new to my channel, maybe you're a Planet Zoo fan and you've never seen my content before, then I am actually a Sims YouTuber. So far I've only posted Sims videos on my channel, and I've been wanting to add Planet Zoo builds for ages because I'm obsessed with animals and a whole load of my Sims content is to do with animals. For example, I'm planning an animal rescue let's play at the minute, which I'm super excited about. But I've always loved Planet Zoo too, and I've been wanting to, like I said, add builds to my channel for ages. But there's been a couple of reasons why I haven't. First one, the controls are completely different, and the build mode controls kind of confuse me when I switch back and forth between the two games because quite a lot of things are in reverse. So it kind of messes you up when you have to, build in one and then the other after a short period of time. But I've also been a bit nervous to start creating a different type of content on my channel just in case people didn't like it. But as soon as the Aquatic pack came out with otters and I saw that otters were a part of the pack, I knew there was no choice. I had to add them to my channels. So I'm super excited to be making this video for you because otters are basically one of my favourite animals. I'd say otters, fennec foxes and red pandas are my favourite animals. Obviously we don't have fennec foxes in the game and we already have red pandas in base game in Planet Zoo. So it's amazing to have another one of my favourite animals in the game. And like I said, this is the first time that I've been building in the game for a long time and I'm not used to the controls whatsoever. So I really did quite a bad job of it, and I'm really sorry for any Planet Zoo fans, you know, who are good builders watching this thinking I'm making an absolute mess of this build, because I do a lot of stupid things. For example, the way I go about making the structure over the facility buildings is just a mess. So sorry in advance for that, but I still had fun and I think it turned out really cute and I got quite a few good cinematic shots and screenshots from it. I mean, there's definitely a few things that I would change if I had the time, but to be honest with you, I was just finding my feet in build mode again and it took me absolutely ages and I came across quite a few problems. So you'll see me eventually change the level of that viewing platform. So there's one at the top. I put a glass barrier at the top of that little hill, and there's a small area of land where the otters can obviously sit in a sandy area and people can watch them on land basically. And then there's another viewing area for when the otters are diving, because obviously it's an aquatic pack and I wanted to make the most of the new diving animations as possible. So that was basically the biggest viewing area that you'll see. It's kind of just to the right of these flower beds that I'm making now, and that was the problem area because basically I wanted the water to be deep enough so that, you know, it would be up to the top of that glass area, and that was causing me a lot of problems because I hadn't gone about making the enclosure in a sensible way, and I think I'd left a load of gaps in all of the rocks that I've added in. And yeah, that was basically not letting me fill the water up high enough. It was saying there was an issue with it, so I cut out a load of footage of me fiddling around with that because it was pretty horrendous. I spent a long time wondering what on earth I was doing wrong and I got very upset, and for a minute there I thought that I was gonna have to, you know, give up and not be able to finish this build, which I was really upset about. But I think what I did to solve the problem was to add in some concrete barriers in areas that I thought there might possibly be a gap, and then I also lowered the ground above the waterfall. So obviously I wanted a large amount of water in this front diving area, but then I also wanted another section of water behind the waterfall. And I think I also, so originally I tried to use that waterfall object that we got with with the new pack, but instead I switched it out, and what I did was just create a little ridge of soil which separated two big areas of water, and then I just used the fountain tool that we had in game already, because why fix what's not broken, you know? I mean, I thought it would be much easier to use a pre-made waterfall item, and I wanted to make the most of a new object like that, but it wasn't meant to be, sadly, so we just went back to the old methods, and it turned out okay, I thought. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. But yeah, then the other thing that I did to get around the issue was to lower the viewing area. It just sort of took a few more inches off the water level that made it just that much easier for me to achieve what I wanted. So it did work in the end. It's a lot of fiddling, a lot of toing and froing, but I kind of think that's the nature of this game. It's very, very slow. That's one thing that I really noticed going back into the game after playing with The Sims for a long time, is that it takes so much longer just to, you know, place a few rocks or landscaping in a tiny section of one enclosure or habitat compared to The Sims, where you can just like bish bash bosh a whole area in like a matter of minutes basically. But it's worth it. It looks so much better. It's so much more detailed and naturalistic, and yeah, just the quality of the graphics is just incredible. And I think everyone who plays this game basically just spends most of their time looking at all of the cute animals in cinematic camera mode. Maybe it's just me, but I think that's pretty common because they're just so cute, aren't they? But yeah, here you can see that I'm having a horrible time with this viewing area. It took me too long to work out how to fix it, so I'm sorry about that because it's probably not very fun to watch. But we do get there in the end. It's just, yeah, a little frustrating. So I don't know about you, but I was actually really surprised that we got giant otters in this game, because my first thought would be, if we were to get otters in the game, that it would be, you know, like your standard river otter or an Asian short-clawed otter, because they're always really popular in zoos. They're quite a common one because they're much smaller, I think, and really cute. I think that's why people like them. But the giant otter is obviously much bigger, and yeah, I've never seen one in person before. I've never seen one in a zoo. I know that they have them in Chester Zoo, I think, because I've just seen that on their website, because I'm a bit of a zoo nerd and I love going to as many zoos as possible, and obviously that's like the main one in the UK, and they've had like several TV shows that they've done in the UK as well with Chester Zoo, and so yeah, I just know from that they have giant otters. But none of the zoos that I've been to near me have giant otters. But let me know down in the comments if you have one in your local zoo. I'd love to know how common they are elsewhere, because maybe I'm wrong, maybe they are more common. Just happens to be that they're not near me, but they look beautiful. I'd absolutely want to go and see them in person. The other animals obviously that are available in this pack are seals, king penguins, I think, caiman, which are like sort of a crocodile-y type looking animal, and then turtles, terrapin turtles as well. And I was surprised that they gave us seals as opposed to sea lions. I mean, I know that the grey seal pups are absolutely adorable, so that's reason enough for me to include them because they are gorgeous. But yeah, sea lions for me I think are kind of the more interesting ones, because they are more entertaining at zoos, because, you know, when you go to the sort of aquarium section of the zoo, they tend to be the ones doing the tricks, don't they? But I might be wrong. Maybe I'm just making that up, and seals are perfectly capable of doing the same things. But when I think of a zoo, I don't necessarily think of seals. I kind of associate them with the beach and in being in the wild, because I live very close to a beach and we have lots of seals, I guess. So maybe there's no need for me to see them in a zoo. But yes, sea lions are definitely, you know, the animal that I would associate more with zoos. Maybe it's because they're endangered, because I know Planet Zoo tends to focus more on that in the animals that it includes, and perhaps that's why they also included giant otters in the game rather than the smaller type of otter, because I know that giant otters are quite endangered, or unless I'm making that up, but I think I think that's true. So yeah, that's probably why. That makes sense. Let me know down in the comments below if you know the answer to any of these things. But now you can see I'm making making that fence, and then I'll go on to making the facilities building at the back of the enclosure. And yeah, like I said, it's nothing special, it's a bit of a mess. You can see me like trying to work out how to control objects on the grid, because that's not something that I've obviously had to do before. I practiced the game before creating this habitat a couple of times, but I didn't do any sort of intense architectural structures. I try to keep this build as simple as possible by just making it mostly landscaping, because I would be confident with landscaping, but anything too heavy on the architecture would definitely put me over the edge, I think, for my first builds in the game again. But I love architecture. Obviously I play The Sims, so I love building, so you can definitely expect to see more of that on my channel. I want to really get into it, and at the minute I'm planning on hopefully starting a franchise zoo on stream, which you guys will be able to influence, and we can choose the styles together and choose the animals together, and it'll be more sort of slow paced, and you know, we can just spend a lot of time looking at cinematic shots of each of the animals. And then I want to do a sandbox mode zoo on my YouTube channel, and I'm thinking for that I'll probably do a Canadian style zoo, quite natural looking, so not quite a zoo aesthetic, but maybe more like a nature reserve kind of vibe. And for that, yeah, like the architecture will all be like wooden lodges, super cozy, because that's definitely my aesthetic. So we've got a few animals in the game that could be Canadian, but not too many, to be honest with you. And I was originally planning on building that kind of style for the giant otters, because I thought otters, and I was like, yeah, they would be great on like a river area, you know, a really natural valley looking enclosure. But then I realised that they were from South America, and none of the foliage would match that kind of area. So we started from scratch, and I basically used a whole load of those new rocks that we got in the game with the new Aquatic pack. So they are recolorable, and I completely forgot that when I started building this, and I just dove straight in. I was way too excited to be building again in this game that I completely forgot that I could recolor them, and I probably would have made them a nicer color, I think, than what they are originally. But they're not too bad, to be fair. It works. Yeah, I just wanted to try out as many objects as possible, and I'm not actually sure whether that object, oh, what is it called? It's like the diving object in the pool that I put there. I'm not sure if that's actually supposed to be used by otters or not, if I'm just being an idiot, because I saw it. I think I did filter by otters, so unless I'm going insane. But yeah, I just put that in because I thought there might be some animations with them, but then later on I thought, oh no, is that just for seals or penguins or something? Do otters actually use them? I don't know. And yeah, like I said, I cut some corners in this build with some of the architecture, so I made a very simple shelter for them and very simple facility building. And I also cheated and I used the new railing that we got in the new pack as well, so I didn't even make any custom fencing, so I'm sorry about that. I did create the fence. I didn't do very much to create the fence around the back of the enclosure. I mostly just placed a load of rocks, to be honest with you, but you know, it looks pretty rocks. We like our pretty rocks here. You can see there obviously what I did with the waterfall area, so I removed the large waterfall object and I put in a load of rocks, some of those fountain objects, over like a ridge of raised terrain. So I kind of tried to hide the terrain with those objects, with the fountains and the rocks. So hopefully that effect works. And so upstream there's a really shallow area for the otters to play in, and then in front of the viewing area is where they can dive. And I also put in the diving food objects. Oh, I can't remember what it's called, like its official name, but yeah, it's basically a way of feeding them underwater feeder. Well, that was simple, wasn't it? And obvious. Oh well. It's been a long day. I've been building quite a long time today, so I'm a bit exhausted. But yeah, I put an underwater feeder, which is really cool, but they didn't want to use it in the time that I was creating my cinematic shots, so I'm sorry about that. But apparently that has to be 5 meters deep in order to work, so just in case you were interested, that's quite helpful to know, because I feel like with Planet Zoo you have to know a lot before you start an enclosure. So I had to know how deep the water would be, I had to know how big the enclosure should be. And I feel like in order to create really interesting designed buildings, you have to be really familiar with all of the objects. And me, who hasn't played the game in a long time, and I hadn't even bought the Australian DLC, it was like way before that came out that I last played with the game, so I was unfamiliar with a lot of the objects and I couldn't remember where anything was. I couldn't remember how to find anything. So you're lucky that you got any kind of architectural structure really. I think it turned out okay. I think we did the best that we could do with what we had, which is just a whole load of landscaping. So I hope you like it. At the end of the build, we've got some cinematic shots and then some screenshots. So stick around if you want to check out some cute shots of some giant otters, because they are absolutely adorable. I am in love with them. And do expect some more Planet Zoo content on my channel. Like I said, I am hoping to do a sandbox mode zoo on here, and it possibly will be like a Canadian style zoo like I mentioned, or it could also be like a contemporary one. I haven't really decided. I'll probably get people on my social media to do a poll or something on the style that they want to see me make first. Depends what people want to see in my streams, because I'll probably start that first, to be honest with you. But I might play around with some one-off enclosures for all of the animals, or at least some of the animals that came with the new Aquatic pack, because I'm super excited about that. I'm really excited to see seals and also penguins, so I may end up doing like 2 individual builds for those on my channel, just because I really want to. And this build obviously is a one-off build. I'm not going to put this in any kind of sandbox mode zoo, mainly because I don't think it's good enough. Like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and like I said, this was a bit of a trial run for me, and I'm happy with some aspects of it, but I definitely would not accept the standard of architectural structures in this build to be in any kind of sandbox zoo that I create on this channel. So yes. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any preferences for what style of zoo that you'd like to see me create, in one-off enclosures or in a sandbox mode zoo. If you have any ideas at all, I would love to hear them. And we're coming up to the end of the video now, so I really hope that you liked this build and you like seeing me create some Planet Zoo content on my channel, because I know this will be new to a lot of my subscribers at the minute who are currently simmers. So yeah, let me know down below what you think of me playing Planet Zoo. I hope you like it, because I feel like if you're subscribed to me on my channel, then you love animals, because most of my builds are animal related anyway, so hopefully you won't mind there being even more animals on my channel. But yes, stick around for those cinematic shots. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys!